Love, war, fertility, sex, justice, and political power. These are the ingredients chosen to create the perfect Mesopotamian goddess, and this deity was indeed associated with all of the above. Worshipped by the ancient Sumerians, her legend rippled through the ages from the Akkadians to the Babylonians and Assyrians under the name Ishtar. This divine being survived death, escaped the underworld, and is now one of the most iconic figures in the Mesopotamian Pantheon. Hello, and welcome to Pantheon Mythology. Today we're going to travel back to ancient Sumer and explore the life and background of Inanna. A prominent deity in the Mesopotamian mythology, Inanna was associated primarily with love, war, and fertility, although beauty, sex, divine justice, and political power were also attributed to her. She was known as Ishtar to the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, while also being cited as inspiration for the famous Greek man-eater herself, Aphrodite. The Queen of Heaven, they called her, and she was the patron goddess of the Inanna temple at the city of Uruk. Further to all of the above, she was also seen as the brightest natural object in the night sky, Venus. Yet again, another Greek deity inspired by this multi-talented goddess. Is there no originality anymore? The origins of Inanna vary by source. In some tales, she is said to be the daughter of Enki, the bearded and horned capped god of, are you ready? Wisdom, fresh water, intelligence, trickery, mischief crafts, magic, exorcism, healing, creation, virility, fertility, and art. While other legends describe her as the daughter of Nanna, god of the moon and wisdom, and twin sister of the sun god Utu, also known as Shamash. As a notable deity in Sumerian history, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Inanna appears in several ancient Mesopotamian myths. Are you comfortable? Good, because it's story time. Firstly, we have Inanna and the Hulupu tree, an early creation myth translated to English by Diane Volkstein and Samuel Noah Kramer. In the first days, in the very first days, in the first nights, in the very first nights, in the first years, in the very first years, in the first days when everything needed was brought into being, in the first days when everything needed was properly nourished, when bread was baked in the shrines of the land, and bread was tasted in the homes of the land, when heaven had moved away from earth, and the earth had separated from heaven, and the name of man was fixed. When the sky god An had carried off the heavens, and the air god Enlil had carried off the earth, when the queen of the great below, Ereshkigal, was given the underworld for her domain, he set sail, the father set sail. Enki, the god of wisdom, set sail for the underworld. Small windstones were tossed up against him, large hailstones were hurled up against him. Like onrushing turtles, they charged the keel of Enki's boat. The waters of the sea devoured the bow of his boat like wolves. The waters of the sea struck the stern of his boat like lions. At that time, a tree, a single tree, a Hulupu tree, was planted by the banks of the Euphrates. The tree was nurtured by the waters of the Euphrates. The whirling south wind arose, pulling at its roots and ripping at its branches, until the waters of the Euphrates carried it away. A woman who walked in fear of the word of the sky god An, who walked in fear of the air god Enlil, plucked the tree from the river and spoke. I shall bring this tree to Uruk. I shall plant this tree in my holy garden. Inanna cared for the tree with her hand. She settled the earth around the tree with her foot. She wondered, how long will it be until I have a shining throne to sit upon? How long will it be until I have a shining bed to lie upon? The years passed, 5 years, and then 10 years. The tree grew thick, but its bark did not split. Then the serpent who could not be charmed made its nest in the roots of the Hulupu tree. The Anzu bird set its young in the branches of the tree, and the dark maid Lilith built her home in the trunk. The young woman who loved to laugh wept. How Inanna wept, yet they would not leave her tree. As the birds began to sing at the coming of the dawn, the sun god Utu left his royal bedchamber. Inanna called to her brother Utu, saying, O Utu, in the days when the fates were decreed, when abundance overflowed in the land, when the sky god took the heavens and the air god the earth, when Ereshkigal was given the great below for her domain, when the god of wisdom, Father Enki, set sail for the underworld, and the underworld rose up and attacked him. At that time, a tree, a single tree, a halupa tree, was planted by the banks of the Euphrates. The south wind pulled up at its roots and ripped its branches until the water of the Euphrates carried it away. I plucked that tree from the river. I brought it to my holy garden. I tended the tree, waiting for my shining throne and bed. Then a serpent, who could not be charmed, made its nest in the roots of the tree. The Anzu bird set his young in the branches of the tree, and the dark-made Lilith built her home in the trunk. I wept, how I wept, yet they would not leave my tree. Utu, the valiant warrior Utu, would not help his sister Inanna. As the birds began to sing at the coming of the second dawn, Inanna called to her brother Gilgamesh, saying, "O Gilgamesh, in the days when the fates were decreed, when abundance overflowed in Sumer, when the sky god had taken the heavens and the air god the earth, when Ereshkigal was given the great below for her domain, the god of wisdom, Father Enki, set sail for the underworld. And the underworld rose up and attacked him. At that time a single tree, a halupa tree, was planted by the banks of the Euphrates. The south wind pulled at its roots and ripped at its branches, until the waters of the Euphrates carried it away. I plucked the tree from the river. I brought it to my holy garden. I tended the tree, waiting for my shining throne and bed. Then a serpent, who could not be charmed, made its nest in the roots of the tree. The Anzu bird set his young in the branches of the tree, and the dark-made Lilith built her home in the trunk. I wept, how I wept, yet they would not leave my tree. Gilgamesh, the valiant warrior Gilgamesh, the hero of Uruk, stood by Inanna. Gilgamesh fastened his armour of 50 minas around his chest. 50 minas weighed as little to him as 50 feathers. He lifted his bronze axe, the axe of the road, weighing 7 talents and 7 minas, to his shoulder, and enters Inanna's holy garden. Gilgamesh struck the serpent, who could not be charmed. The Anzu bird flew with his young to the mountains, and Lilith smashed her home and fled to the wild, uninhabited places. Gilgamesh then loosened the roots of the halupa tree, and the sons of the city who accompanied him cut off the branches. From the trunk of the tree he carved a throne for his holy sister. From the trunk of the tree Gilgamesh carved a bed for Inanna. From the roots of the tree she fashioned a puku for her brother. From the crown of the tree Inanna fashioned a miku for Gilgamesh, the hero of Uruk. Wow, beautiful, right? This tale describes how Inanna enlists the help of Gilgamesh, a hero in Mesopotamian mythology, to rid her tree of the pests that infected. From this he creates a throne and bed for her, and in return she fashions a puku, or drum, and miku, stick, from the same tree. These would be known as sacred items that Gilgamesh used to summon warriors into battle. It has been claimed by some that this myth details the shift in power from the divine deity to humankind, with a part mortal man, Gilgamesh, claiming power through association with the goddess. What do you think it means? Another iconic tale of Inanna is her descent into the underworld, or Kur, as is known in Sumerian religion. Ruled by her sister Ereshkigal, the Kur was a dark, dreary cavern located deep below the surface of the lands. Arriving at the gates of the underworld, she informs the gatekeeper, Neti, of her intentions to witness the funeral rites of Gugalana, husband of Ereshkigal. Unimpressed by her sister's arrival, the Queen of Hell orders each of the 7 gates to be sealed at once, allowing Inanna to pass through only one gate at a time, and as she does, she must remove an item of clothing for each one, thus stripping her of her powers. Upon facing her sister, Inanna was nude, much to the delight of the wide-eyed onlookers. Powerless and stark as, Ereshkigal overpowers her sister, turning her into a corpse before hanging her from a hook. Little did the underground gang know, however, was that prior to her journey to the underworld, Inanna had instructed her servant, Ninshaba, to inform Inanna's father, Enki, of her disappearance if she had not returned after 3 days. Upon hearing the news, Enki agrees to help by creating, wait for it, 2 genderless and genitalless beings, known as Gala, made from the dirt found under a couple of his fingers, to go and harass the Queen of Kur. Dashing on to the underworld at the command of their creator, they attach themselves to Ereshkigal for reasons. The Queen of the Dead falls into a state of distress and agony, like a woman experiencing the pains of going through labour. Mild pains then, really, I'm joking. Begging for relief, she offers them whatever they want. and as the good little creatures they are, they respond with the words, "We wish only for the corpse that hangs from the hook on the wall." Unable to cope with the pain, she gives in to them, allowing them to retrieve the corpse of Inanna and revive her with the food and water of life, also provided by the now labour-free queen. However, Inanna was not allowed to leave so easily. The underworld had gained a soul with Inanna, and therefore another would be needed for a replacement. The demons tried to take Ninshibur first, then Inanna's sons Shara and Lulal, and even Inanna's beautician Kara. But in all these instances, Inanna forbids the exchange because they are all dressed in sackcloth and are in mourning for her apparent death. Inanna then comes across her husband, Dumuzid. The silly bloke is blinged out, dressed in lavish clothing, chilling on his throne and surrounded by females. Surprisingly, the recently revived goddess is not best pleased with this and offers him to take her place in the underworld. Despite his best attempts to escape by praying to Utu, the sun god, to turn him into a snake, he's unable to slither away and thus is dragged to hell. His sister, Geshtinanna, is so upset by this she offers to take his place, and from this an agreement is made. Dumuzid spends half the year down below, and Geshtinanna the other half. According to legend, this explains the seasons, which sounds awfully like another tale that seems to have been borrowed from this one. Inanna is often depicted in the company of a lion, either beside her or at times riding it. This is to showcase her ferocity and courage as a goddess of war. Armoured up to the max, yet a woman of rare beauty, Inanna is an independent woman who does as she pleases, is quite often without regard for consequences, and either manipulates, threatens, or tries to seduce others to fix the problems created by her behaviour. As one of the original 7 divine powers in Mesopotamian mythology, her impact on folklores throughout time cannot be ignored, with many inspired by her greatness. She was brash, independent, impulsive, careless with others' feelings or even their lives, yet she was worshipped and adored by Sumerians due to her kind and accessible nature. After all, no one on this world is perfect, and nor was Inanna, which goes a long way to making her so relatable. Despite being less known these days, compared to those that were inspired by her story, for example Aphrodite, she is without a doubt one of the most important deities across all pantheons. If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, as we release new content every week. Be sure to check out our clothing brand, Pantheon Apparel, too. It features designs inspired by mythologies from across the world, including Mesopotamian and, of course, Inanna. Click on the video on the left here to watch a video that YouTube has chosen for you, and on the right here is our binge playlist, if you want to go on a journey across the pantheons. But most of all, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.